Hello everybody, welcome back to another video with the IRL collection of LEGO Legend of Zelda minifigures, and of course you're all here for this one. And I'm going to show you guys how to actually, or what parts I use specifically for this figure later today, obviously being a purist version of the archaic tunic from Tears of the Kingdom, the opening of Tears of the Kingdom. But not only that, we're going to be showing you a couple more classic builds, as well as taking a look at two brand new customs that I collaborated with somebody on. But of course, if you're not familiar here, this is the in real life branch of my customs where I try and turn some of the builds that we've done, some of the builds that other people have done, such as various brickheads, as well as try and find some nice minifigure designs for you to use until we ever get nice official ones, which hopefully won't be too long now. Now, this collection has been these two for the longest time, but over the last couple of months, it has changed quite dramatically. And towards the end of the summer, maybe into the autumn, I'm going to be doing a full collection update with all of the builds as well. But unfortunately, a lot of those aren't put together at the moment. And I'm going to be ordering some more as the year goes on. So we have three new additions which we're going to take a look at today. If you want to learn more about how to build this entirely purist, excluding the shield, SS/just classic version of the green tunic link that only requires you to erase some prints, then there are videos on the channel for that. This is a custom sticker that I did myself, Royal Robes from Breath of the Wild. Again, there's a video on this one as well. However, we're here to look at three links. Let's start off with the easiest one. This here is the Hylian Bricks Breath of the Wild tunic. I talked this over with him, and eventually we came to solutions about different pieces, and basically by looking at what other people have done over the last 6 years, he was able to determine the best combination of pieces for Breath of the Wild, and I truly do believe this is as good as it gets with purists. I've been working towards getting my own copy for the last month or so now, and I'm finally pleased to say that I have all the pieces. So if you want to know actually how to make it, I'm going to not tell you here. I'm going to direct you to his video on the topic, but I was really pleased with it, and I've just chosen on my own head. All of the heads I see today I will talk about. However, this is an alternate head that I'm not using, which some of you may have. This is actually Samwise's head from the original 2012 Lord of the Rings set, not the new one. The new one does work well, and it just gives you a bit more of that stern look with the correct eyebrow color, right? That obviously Link does display emotions, but I think he's more commonly seen with just sort of this passive look to his face there. And I like having a more scared one as well sometimes as well. So that's also a pretty strong outlook here, although I think we'll see some better ones as we go through today. The shield is just the normal shield piece with a tile in the middle, and then I just go with the normal broadsword. But if you want to actually know the specific pieces that he uses, go there. Truly, this is the primary design for Breath of the Wild. Now, we also, while we were talking around this idea, we're talking about some of the outfits from Breath of the Wild, and this is another one which is pretty iconic. Of course, everybody starts the game with this, and this is one that I have been, well, we worked on together, and then I have decided to actually go ahead and build. So, starting from the bottom, these pair of legs are print-removed legs from Queenie Goldstein from Harry Potter Series 2. No, Harry Potter Series 1 from the Fantastic Beasts line, and they are dual molded legs with high heels and skirt printing and so on, but with an eraser or some varnish, you can remove all of the prints nice and easily, and that gives you Link's chic short design. The arms and torso all come from an Avatar 2 figure by the name of Spider. He's a middle-aged child with mid-legs, I should say, and I just basically took the sort of Na'vi body paint and I actually just removed it. Now, the reason I was okay to do this, because as you may notice, some of the blue lines crossed through the chest printing is out of the 4 or so chest designs that we actually have in LEGO, most of them are way too overly muscular. This sort of fits the Breath of the Wild physique a lot more, and as we learned from Robbie, he has scars anyway, so I'm just passing this off as the canon scars. Here's another fantastic facial expression here that gives that stern look with the right color hair. Less so on the reverse side, but if that might have given it away, this is actually the Obi-Wan Kenobi hair from the 2012 Gungan sub. They're actually quite a cheap head to pick up at maybe £1.50, and considering its age, that's pretty good. And this is just the central parted male hair here that's used on a lot of different characters. I'm struggling to think of any off the top of my head, often in city sets in medium nougat. Dark tan, I think, also works. The Breath of the Wild Link's hair is sat right in the middle of medium nougat and dark tan, so either works here. We've gone for medium nougat, and it suits our Breath of the Wild one. However, that all changes when we come here for Tears of the Kingdom Link. Now, this is a much more complicated figure, so we're going to talk about it as a whole, and then I'm actually going to break him down and show you exactly how to piece him together. But as you can see, it's based off the archaic tunic, so it had to use some official fabric pieces, and these are all official. Now, the only modifications I actually made to him was you may need to do some print removing depending on the cheapest way for you to acquire legs that are tan like this, or I should say flesh toned or light nougat. And both cloth pieces have a couple of cuts made to them just to, well, make them work better and make them more secure. But I'll show you those as we go through, and I'll show you them uncut as well. As for the arm, this is another point of contention. Nothing's perfect, but this arm here, which I'll tell you the origin of in a minute, is what I went for, although the other alternative has just come out in a June set. This is the Lloyd Spinjitzu Spin Lloyd set. Cutaway to this clip here. Yeah, and basically I brought this set to test out the transparency arm, and personally for me it just doesn't add enough contrast to this other arm here, and that was why I chose not to use it. Now there is another torso option too if you're not wanting to work with cloth, or maybe it's more available. Here is the closest purist you're going to get, and unfortunately it does have a bat symbol on it, but it is incredibly close, just the wrong colours, but it is the closest completely purist piece you're going to find, which is another suggestion by Hylian Bricks. So this is another option for you, although personally not my choice. So let's get into the tutorial section in just a minute, but first, of course, I have one more build to show you. Now, I've made a couple of videos about our King of Red Lions here, but update number 3, I have had the idea of how to, well, I believe we had a problem with the back last video, and I had a couple of people reach out and suggest me, notably Pixel Bricks. Thank you very much for that. And I made one modification to the design. I originally had this 1x2 tan plate on this side of the bricks. Now it's back here, which makes it just a little bit more wobbly, but you still get some structural stability, and it still lines up perfectly with those. In one of the previous videos, or maybe even the tutorial, I did that, but if not, there we go, there's my error connection. The reason I'm even showing you the King of Red Lions today is because the new build that I've transformed, and we'll have to take a closer look at this in the full recap video at the end of the summer, but this is the warship from Wind Waker, the common enemies that you find on the sea, and I just wanted to show you that this guy has finally made the transition to real life. He's got both of his features intact from my original custom set, Battle on the Great Sea Adventures Z004, where not only can you spin the turret around crazily like they do in game, but you can also press in the slider at the back, which knocks off the head, simulating it's exploding, and lowers this down so you can do it and give us another tap on the end and your treasure chest comes out. Took a couple of redesigns. I did a community post about it a while back, but it was very effective as far as designs go. But that's of course not what you're here for. Let's jump straight into the archaic link tunic tutorial. First thing to talk about when it comes to the archaic tunic is what I've done with the fabric pieces. As mentioned, there's always that purist Batman alternative. However, this is what I've used. Now this is from a Star Wars buildable character, very cheap. I believe it is from the Rey buildable character, and this wrapped around the body and has lots of holes, which I thought would be a perfect start. Now you could probably do something different with this, but here's exactly what I did. Break it down step for step for you. So just above the hole here, doesn't need to be perfect. You've got lots of wriggle room, and if you hold this with the fluffy side up and the matte side down, you're going to look for the top left branch and just completely cut it off. That will then provide you with, of course, something very similar to this right hand side. It's pretty much a mirror image. However, we're going to make one more cut, and that is to basically cut it in half. Now, when you do so, of course, you need to know which one to use. And I believe the idea is that if you held it, you can see that there's this hole mark down here. Let me line them up for you. You can see that there was once a hole at the end, very similar to what was on our existing cloth piece, just down here. Now, if you cut straight through that, down the middle, all the way until the end, you're gonna, and you hold it with this hole at the bottom, the one you want's the left one. We're gonna get rid of the right one. We don't need that. This is the piece of cloth that you'll want to use. This will, using the natural curvature side, will give us the best kind of look that we want. And we're going to come back to this in a second. So that was the first aramid, nice and simple. And the second cape piece is actually from the Super Dog, also from the Lego Batman's line, from the Justice League Party set. It's the dog that goes around Super Dog. And the only cut that needs to be made here is, again, either side, it's a spongy material, is one of the cape holes needs to be cut right at the base there, and that allows us to make an arm brace for this cloth piece to go around. And those are our 2 cloth pieces. Other elements include a pair of flesh legs, obviously with whatever hip piece you like. These were Patrick Starr's. I've removed the print, and then that's just because most of it will be covered. But this bottom part, of course, we want him to look like he has bare legs. You could also use the Roman style legs with the lace up sandals. That could work quite well. We only need the physical torso piece, again from Spider, and the reason we've chosen this one, not only because of the muscle definition, is because when we actually see it, all we see here is what looks like the infection of the arm coming onto the torso, which is the best in Lego representation for that. As I mentioned previously, you could either have the Lloyd transparent green arm, depending on your preference, or this is the Spider-Man No Way Home black suit arm, with like the electronic suit, which I believe is just the main suit turned inside out. Anyway, you just need the left, I suppose that's the right arm for the figure, the arm that obviously sits on this side, just for clarification, and also a black hand, because this suit actually comes with golden hands, so replace that with a black hand. For the right hand, we use this dual molded pattern, which is green at the top, and then obviously light flesh at the top, as well as a light flesh hand, which probably would come with your Spider torso. This one in particular is from a Robin minifigure from maybe 2012, 2014. Moving upwards, my personal choice for the head is the same one I use on my classic Link. However, I may consider changing out for that the Samwise head that I showed you earlier, just for that little bit more of a stern expression, make him a little bit less happy. I wasn't really fancying any of the others, so we'll see if I change that out. Maybe I'll use the Obi-Wan Kenobi one for now. This head here is, I don't know where it came from. I'll put something on the screen magically now. And then we have the Rockstar hair here from the Series 20 minifigure series. It was like a 70s Rockstar, guitar player, I should say. And it's dark tan, yes, which does not match the medium nougat, but I like the flow on this a lot better than the slick back mullet from 2019's People Pack. And I really like this piece and the way it flows. And I think in the key art for Archaic Tunic Link, it does look more dark tan regardless. So the reason we're doing a tutorial for this is because the construction of how to get this cloth to work is actually not precise, but just potentially a little bit fiddly. So let's get started then, shall we? So first step is to get our torso here, and we don't want to press it down all the way yet, and we're not putting any of the arms in yet. It's time to grab the fabric. So the edge you cut along, you can very clearly see, is slightly frayed. So we actually want to make sure that the nice smooth edge that was machine cut is the one that's going to be facing towards the legs, so that we've got a nice clean edge. And you'll notice that I made this edge just a little bit thinner here, and it's going to be difficult for me to show on camera, but basically my edge is going to sit directly at the back of the torso, so it doesn't curve around this corner, and it just lines up with the edge. And I've slid that in as far as I can. You can see that that already begins to wedge in. Now this first one, we're aiming a little bit higher. We want to probably keep it pretty much level with the hip piece, and we're going to bring it round, curve slightly down, so that this front here comes lower. Now, if you excuse me while I look around at the corner, we're going to keep it low here. We're going to come up, and this is important. We want it to curve the top of the hole. So this is what I meant about the bottom layer here. It needs to come up high enough so that we really don't have much of a gap. And then just fold that down onto the back, because what will happen is when we put the hair on, it will be held in place. Now it is going to be a bit fragile for the time being. What we can do to help that, oh, and the other thing you really want to make sure is that you're keeping it nice and tight too. So then obviously you can perform some adjustments. Don't worry too much about a gap here, because obviously we've got the green layer still to come in. You really do want the shape to be your priority, and obviously you want as much of that good detail there as visible as possible. Then, difficult to do on camera as always, I'm going to pop the arm in, and this arm does actually have free rotation, so you can do the pose where he holds it out in front of him. But let's move on, let's get past this fiddly point, shall we? So, the thing and the beautiful thing about this cape is we have the option to, before we put it on, wedge this piece here temporarily in place, so we don't have to worry about it as much. Then we can get this cape and sort of position it where we want. We know we want it about here. Then obviously you see this green piece here. This is going to go over the top, over the shoulder, and obviously be held in on the back. That's not my problem right now. My problem is wedging this cloth piece here in, and you can sort of see where I did it before, and it's a bit of a squeeze, but this arm definitely has less maneuverability, and that's been done just for the sake of the custom, really, just to make it nice and make it easier. And obviously everything's going to be a little loose, and as I said, this is fiddly. I've done this a couple of times now, which is why I'm pretty confident with how things are going. Now we're going to take the head back off again now, because we want to straighten out this mess. So let's just check that everything's going okay. This is slid down a little bit. It does slide, but you can sort of wriggle it into whatever position you want. This is still good on the front. So then we want to make sure we've pulled our bottom layer, our archaic layer down. Then we want to line sort of this green up, and they will stick together a little bit because of the different fabrics being used. So let's grab that, and we can fold it over, hide it around the back of this head, because when the head goes on, and if you do this right, the head will pop on all the way, and then we'll sort of squish everything up together. Now that's like the initial version. Now obviously I need to do some touch-ups here, because this is sort of ridiculous, isn't it? That this looks great down here. And let's move that arm up a bit and hold it in place a little. But the way this is bending around is not appealing to me at all. So I'm going to quickly do some touch-ups off camera and then show you what I do. Okay, and then of course, once you're done tinkering, it will probably look nicer than this. This is not as good as it was when I showed you the first time. I'm going to have to go and redo this. The best advice I can give you, be patient, be calm, slow down, don't make extra cuts, and just keep the fabric nice and taut so that it goes where you want it to go. I really need to redo this. But once you're happy with the final result, of course, feel free to share and let me know what you guys get up to with these customs or with war builds like the warship and so on. Hopefully more instructions coming soon, at least to the Rebrickable, but not just quite yet. Either way, here is how you make your archaic tunic from Tears of the Kingdom, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.